Are you ready to go racing? We certainly are. Hello everyone. Here we are in Zandvoort in the Netherlands. We've got beautiful sunshine. It's a bit windy, but it's lovely weather. And it's such an amazing circuit embedded into the dunes right by the sea. And the man who's starting in pole position today is Jack Aitken. So fantastic qualifying for you. And now obviously, whether it's going to rain or not, you don't care because you're in pole position. Hopefully you're going to turn it into a win, right?
That's the plan, yeah. I think we're hoping for a simple race. Overtaking is possible here, but it's not easy. So, starting in pole, we have a good advantage. It looks like the rain will stay away, but you never know here because of being so close to the sea. But yeah, we'll see. Whatever comes, we'll handle it.
And now Zandvoort here is a very tricky race course. It's also old school. Is that what you love about it?
Yeah, and with the elevation change, you have a lot of camber in some corners. It really makes it feel quite a dynamic and interesting track. You still have the barriers very close in a lot of places, so for sure it's got a bit of old school feel. I like it. It's a lot of fun.
Well, best of luck, Jack. Thank you so much. And now here are your commentators.
Thanks very much indeed, Verena. Welcome everybody to the third weekend of DTM 2024. And Jack Aitken with a phenomenal lap, a new lap record in DTM in the GT3 era to put himself on pole position for the third time. Not such a good qualifying for his teammate Thierry Vermeulen today, but yesterday, which was actually qualifying 2, happening before qualifying 1 because of a slightly unusual format this weekend. Thierry, the home hero, the Dutch driver, getting his best qualifying performance so far. He'll start third on the grid for tomorrow's race, but for today he's going to have to try and work his way through in the second Ferrari from 15th place. Jack Aitken then finishing the session 0.374 seconds ahead of Clement Schmidt in second place. And by my reckoning, that is the biggest gap we've had in qualifying since Hockenheim 2021. And the scary thing for everybody else is that when I spoke to Jack after he got his pole position, he said, yeah, I actually backed off a little bit in the last sector because I didn't want to throw it off at turn 13. We saw how easy that was yesterday when Kelvin van der Linde, perhaps on course for pole position, hit some dirt on the track and ran wide at turn 13 and ended up qualifying 7th overall. What a phenomenal effort, though, for Clement Schmidt. I spoke to him after qualifying as well. Second place in the McLaren for Dur Motorsport for the Austrian driver. He's equalled his best ever qualifying position. And it's, of course, the team's best ever qualifying because it's only their third weekend in DTM, Dur Motorsport. Brilliant effort. He said, do you know what? I could have been up the front yesterday as well. But he was deemed to have been blocked by Thomas Preining, who got a 5-place grid penalty in the end for blocking this man, Clement Schmidt, and also Maro Engel. So the driver there, Thomas Preining to the right of the picture, with work to do this weekend. He's going to be starting back in 14th place on the grid for this one as we go back to the grid and back to Verena.
So relaxed.
Okay.
So here we are with Kelvin van der Linde speaking about how relaxed we are. You're starting in P13 after a phenomenal last race weekend. Now P30 is going to be tough, but you say you were relaxed. So I guess you've got a little trick down your sleeve, or how are you going to manage?
You know how DTM is. You can be, the motorsport's got a way of humbling you sometimes. So yeah, we're back down to earth now. Can focus on our job, and I think we have a good race car to go forward. Unfortunately, this morning we just went out a bit too early, and we bet on a bit of rain coming. It didn't happen, and that's the way a cookie crumbles sometimes. So we just have to take that, and that's why I'm relaxed. I think we have a good car. I think we have a good strategy. We always manage to come forward in the races. I don't think we've been going backwards ever. So from that perspective, very excited.
We heard earlier on from Jack, I mean, this is also a track where you can do some overtaking, so maybe that's a plan?
Of course, I love overtaking, so now we've got to overtake 12, so let's see.
All right, best of luck, Kelvin. Stay relaxed, good luck. And now we're going to see where Thierry Vermeulen is. He's in P15, and there he is. So let's check out how he's doing, because obviously, hello there, our local matador. I mean, I'm sure you've got a lot of people here supporting you, and what is it like being here in Zandvoort?
Yeah, busy weekend here in Zandvoort. Great to see everyone out here, also from the fans. It's very busy this year, so great to see that. Some sponsors, partners here, so great to show everyone the ins and outs of the DTM.
And is this your favorite track in the calendar?
Yeah, for sure. Zandvoort is a super cool track, old school with some changes made. I think this makes it extra cool to drive here with these GT3 machinery.
Well, best of luck. Thank you so much. And now we're going to move on to P14 because, no, actually, where are we going? We're going somewhere down here because we have a very special person here, Kalle Rowan Pervera, because, where is he? Now we need to see. he's not here. Let's check it out. This is what live TV is all about, because we need to find him, because he is a rally driver, but obviously we don't see him. So we're going to have a look out for him. And now I would say, before we find him, back to the commentators.
Thanks, Verena. Just trust the rally driver to go off track somewhere. Yeah, Kelly racing in Porsches this weekend, so he's down there amongst the throng of people ready for this DTM race, which is coming up in just about 10 minutes' time, the 5th race of the weekend. Good to hear from Thierry Vermeulen, somebody else that's got Porsche experience, Porsche Benelux champion of 2020, which is where previously will have driven around this his home circuit. As I say, 15th on the grid today, but 3rd on the grid tomorrow for Thierry, hoping to get his first DTM Zandvoort finish. He had 2 retirements last year, unfortunately. But back down on the grid, maybe having found her man, is Verena.
I've got Kalle Kovanperä here with me. I was looking for you earlier on, but here you are. And we're so excited to have you here, because you're a 2-time WRC rally world champion, but now you're here. And I hear that you're kind of, with your 22 years of age, all that success, you're kind of taking a little break from that. And now it's all about circuit racing. So now, obviously, I'm curious to find out, maybe this is a future for you?
Yeah, for sure. It's really cool to be here. I think it's my first DTM weekend also. We have the Carrera Cup here at the same time. So, yeah, this year I'm having half of the year off from the WC. And, yeah, I have a bit more time to focus on other things. And I decided to do a bit of circuit racing. It's going well so far, and I'm really excited about it.
And DTM, are you excited about DTM?
Yeah, of course. I've been following these races for a long time. So yeah, of course, if I ever have a chance later on, when I'm more experienced, to do also this kind of stuff, would be quite nice. So let's see.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and enjoy the race here in Zandvoort. And I'm going to get Preining just a second here also, sorry. Thomas, good to have you here, because obviously as a reigning champion, I mean, it's going to be a tough one being in the middle of the field. It's always nicer being in the front. So what are you going to do to hopefully succeed here in Zandvoort?
Push like crazy, like always. Hopefully have a very good strategy, which usually I can really rely on my guys. They're very good, and yeah, that's our plan to move forward. It's very tough. We're not really on the pace, but we will try our best.
And here in Zandvoort, I mean, it's right embedded into the dunes, the sea. It's such a beautiful racetrack. It's old school. So what do you think about that?
I really enjoyed it. It's one of my favorite weekends of the year. I would have loved to connect it with a holiday, but I don't have time, so maybe next year.
Focus on racing. All right, thank you so much. Best of luck for the race. And now, yeah, let's do it. Let's get racing. So here are your commentators. Enjoy.
Thanks very much indeed, Verena. Great stuff down there on the grid. Yeah, Thomas Preining, work to do. 14th on the grid today. Qualified 6th yesterday, but picked up a 5-place grid penalty, as I mentioned. So 11th on the grid tomorrow. It's not the easiest place to overtake. Ricardo Feller there in the background. Championship contender, as he was last year. 3rd in the points. Bad day yesterday. He was unhappy with the car all day long, really, and only qualified 10th, but a much better qualifying to put himself on the 2nd row of the grid today, and ahead of all of his closest championship rivals. Jack Aitken then starting on pole with his 3rd career pole. Clement Schmidt with his equal best qualifying starting 2nd. Arjun Mainy's tremendous start to the season continues. 35 points, 36 points now already this season. He only had 1 at this stage last year, and he's equalled his best qualifying in 3rd. Then it's Ricardo Feller and Lucas Auer. Lucas Auer 5th on the grid. There he is with his best qualifying of the season so far, and Sheldon van der Linde rounds out the top 6. Just to bring you quickly up to speed on some BOP changes. That's changed since qualifying. So the Audis have been given another 15 kilograms of BOP ballast. They've gone from 50 kilograms to 65. And the Lamborghinis have also increased from 75 up to 90. The Mercedes have got a bit lighter from 50 down to 40, so potentially best placed Mercedes on the grid there. Lucas Auer, the Austrian driver, could be one to watch in this race, coming from the inside of the 3rd row of the grid from 5th place. And 1 or 2 others to watch, perhaps charging through, like Kelvin van der Linde, Thomas Preining and Thierry Vermeulen, all in the lower half of the grid. It's windy, it's breezy, there might be some dark clouds around, but hopefully it is going to be a dry race as we look forward to the first race of the weekend here at Zandvoort. So Zandvoort, in amongst the sand dunes here in the North Sea coastal town. It's a beautiful setting It is a unique setting. It's a track which is steeped in history, formed initially out of the streets around here back in the late 1930s, became a permanent venue in 1948. It's evolved over the years, including in 2020 when it was fully updated with the banking at the final turn. But it has always retained its character. It is 4.259 kilometres long, 14 turns, and we've had 26 races here since the inaugural DTM race here in 2001. And what a battle we had in the second race there between the Audi of Christian Abt and the Mercedes of Uwe Altzen. They went at it hammer and tongs all the way through the race, a proper touring car race, pushing each other, overtaking each other, trading paintwork, and the battle even went on beyond the finish line. Uwe Altzen won, but on the slow down lap, it was the Audi driver that had the last laugh, sending the Mercedes into the barrier. Altzen, though, went on to finish second in that year's championship. They took a win apiece that weekend, and that's the championship title and trophy they are all looking for this season. But your guess is as good as mine who's going to win it this year, because we've had 4 races up to this point and 4 different race winners already this season. We had 12 different race winners last year, which was the second most different winners in the history of the championship. Jack Aitken and Clement Schmidt then on row 1. Arjun Maini and Ricardo Feller 3rd and 4th. Lucas Auer and Sheldon van der Linde round out the top 6. René Rast and Nicky Thiem, an interesting row 4. Maximilian Powell on pole tomorrow, and Lucas Stoltz are next up. Mirko Bortolotti and Ben Durr next in 11th and 12th. Kelvin van der Linde, Thomas Preining wants to watch. Thierry Vermeulen and Engin Guad start 15th and 16th. Marco Wittmann and Maro Engel next up. Maro's bad qualifying continues. Luca Engstler and Christian Engelhardt, both DTM race winners, are at the back of the grid for this one as well. And that really is testament to the fact that it's been oh so close all the way through the weekend. In one of the sessions yesterday in free practice, we had 0.6 of a second covering the entire field. Loads of people here. It's always a well-supported event at Zandvoort. It was busy even yesterday. I suspect there were quite a few people pretending to work from home yesterday, because they all turned up to the circuit to watch the practice day and the qualifying day yesterday. Thomas Preining then second in the championship points, but with work to do from the middle of the pack. Kelvin van der Linde is your championship leader. He's got 63 points. He's 8 points clear of Thomas Preining on 55. Ricardo Feller is 3rd in the championship on 53, but ahead of both of them for today's race. And then we've got Maro Engel on 52. He's had nightmares in qualifying, but he keeps coming through in the races. It will be particularly difficult here, though. He was a winner last year, Maro Engel, at Zandvoort. Mirko Bortolotti has got a better grid tomorrow, but he's 11th today, and he's got 47 points and is 5th in the championship, with Luca Engstler 6th in the points on 43. Jack Aitken, a great start to the season for the pole sitter with a win in the first round of the championship, but it's been slim picking since then. A crash and a puncture in race 2 at Oschersleben. The car was off the pace all the weekend long last time out at the Lausitz ring. So Jack Aitken 10th in the championship, the driver on pole position. But he'll be looking to follow on from what happened last year, because on Saturday, Maro Engel won from pole. On Sunday, Ricardo Feller won from pole. Can Jack Aitken do that and get his 3rd win in DTM? Chris Hartley here in the commentary box to talk you through the action for round 5 of the championship. And alongside me as ever, it's a very good afternoon to Brian Oliver.
Good afternoon, Chris. Welcome to the seaside, everybody. Well, there's blue skies up above. This is the kind of weekend that could turn this championship absolutely on its head. A lot of drivers, including the defending champion, very much out of position to what you'd expect. Jack Aitken sees this as the opportunity to get his championship hunt back on track. He had a poor time last time out at Lausitz Ring, but starting from pole position. But how impressive was Clement Schmidt in that McLaren, looking mighty round here. Arjun Maini and Ricardo Feller behind them. This is going to be exciting. I think lap 1 is going to be very entertaining. Team Radio, Ricardo Feller.
Okay, ich werde kaum reden, weil das bringt mich auseinander. Es ist brutal laut, was ich mich selbst höre. Aber ich kann einfach okay sagen.
So Ricardo Feller with some last checks on the radio. He starts there as the first of the Abt Sportsline Audis, the team that's been involved in the championship since its very beginnings there to the right. Some interesting bucket hats up there in the sand dunes. Tiger hunting, they look like they are about to be. They're always enthusiastic, the fans here at Zandvoort, proper race fans. And the car's now heading off onto the formation lap, ready for the rolling start and an hour plus 1 lap of racing. Mandatory pit stops in the middle third of the race between 20 and 40 minutes when they all have to come in and change tyres. The top 10 have to start on the tyres on which they qualified. Everybody gets 4 sets of tyres to run across the weekend. And that means that they all have to use 1 set of new tyres in each race. Jack Aitken is one of 6 drivers who an hour after today's race is going to be hot chewing off to Le Mans, because it's Le Mans next weekend. But tomorrow morning, it's the practice session of the drivers' briefing. So they are getting helicopters and airplanes and all sorts to Le Mans. They're coming back tomorrow. That's why we had qualifying for race 2 yesterday rather than tomorrow morning. And they're all due to arrive back, hopefully, if the plan works, at around about 2:30, 3 o'clock, just before they all go to the grid. Jack Aitken said, we've had special dispensation. If we can't quite get back in time, we don't have to drive the cars to the grid. They are allowed to push the cars onto the grid. It's going to be pretty tight, though. Slightly stressful for them, but they can just concentrate on what they're doing now today. Jack Aitken leads them around. But as you say, Brian, a tremendous effort from Dürr Motorsport. Clement Schmidt, of course, taking all the plaudits for being on the front row of the grid. But then Dürr, excellent effort from him as well. The rookie in DTM with a qualifying best of 12th position. Although I spoke to Clement Schmidt this morning, he wasn't actually that surprised. He knew they got good pace from yesterday. They've been working hard as a team to get close to it. But what he was surprised about was the gap to Jack Aitken. He said he came on the team radio when they told me what the gap was to Jack, nearly 4/10 of a second. And he said, I had to double check because I didn't think I was hearing right. It was such a big gap.
Yes, it was a phenomenal gap, and anybody who thinks that Dürr Motorsport are here just to make up the numbers are very much mistaken, as proven by both Clemens Schmid and Ben Dürr. Great opportunity to have a quick look at this circuit on the formation lap. The mighty 18-degree banking of turn 14, which effectively stretches the pit straight. They can get on the power much earlier out of turn 13, creates great overtaking opportunities into turn 1. This is going to be very exciting. I'm going to be interested to see how they get around this first lap.
Yeah, an unusual grid, an interesting grid. They'll get these cars up to top speeds of 260 kilometres an hour on this phenomenal undulating race circuit. Round 5 of DTM 2024. Are we going to get our 5th different race winner of the season? Jack Aitken hopes not. He leads them round from pole position. Chris Hartley and Brian Oliver to talk you through the action. We're about to fire things into life now as Jack Aitken leads the charge and the race gets underway here at Zandvoort. It's a good start for Ricardo Feller just behind, and Arjun Marnie's had a good start as well to try and get up the inside of Clement Schmidt for 2nd place, but into turn 1 at Tarzan. It's the pole sitter Jack Aitken that leads. Marnie, I think, has got through. Has he for 2nd? Not quite. The McLaren comes back at him, still side by side as they make their way through turn 2. Uphill now, left-hander coming up. That should favour the Austrian driver Clement Schmidt. He'll a short dive down the inside of the Mercedes and hold on just about to his 2nd place. Thomas Preining's had a nightmare start. He's dropping down the order. He's almost in last place. The driver 2nd in the championship. It's going to be Aitken as they go up the hill towards turn 6, ahead of Clement Schmidt. 3rd place then Arjun Marnie, despite his excellent start. A good start for a Feller as well, but he couldn't quite squeeze through anywhere, so remains in 4th place with Lucas Auer in 5th. 6th place then, it is going to be René Rast. He's got ahead of his teammates, the blue BMW René Rast, ahead of Sheldon van der Linde. This is on board with the South African now as they make their way through turns 8 and 9, the farthest part of the circuit. Back to go to the back straight, but a really good start from René Rast, who was plumb last in qualifying until the last couple of minutes, and then putting one superb lap. Nicky Tim just behind, weaving around trying to get some heat into the tyres. The Viking on a charge. A couple of places behind him is his teammate Mirko Bortolotti, which means the Italian has made up 1 place. Also making up a place at the start of the race, Kelvin van der Linde. He's gone from 13th to 12th, and Thierry Vermeulen has gone from 15th to 13th. He gains a couple of places as well. We look back from Maro Engel at Luca Engstler. Luca's made a good start from the last row of the grid. He's up to 16th place already. Maro, the driver 4th in the championship, with his work cut out in the race once again. So they come towards the end of lap 1 out of that 18-degree banking. The perfect start for Jack Aitken. He leads the race by exactly a 2nd.
What a start from Jack Aitken. He really has opened up that gap in the opening lap. There's Thierry Vermeulen on the outside, the local hero trying to work his way forwards as well. René Rast, he looks like a man on a mission, as does his teammate Marco Wittmann, looking back at him from the perspective of Thierry Vermeulen. But Marco Wittmann back in 14th place. A lot of work and a lot of traffic there But Rene Rast looks like the man on the mission. He's got past Sheldon van der Linde. He's left him behind now, challenging the yellow Mamba. Lucas Auer in 5th place. He's got his mirrors full of blue BMW.
Thomas Preining, 19th out of 20 runners at the end of the first lap of the race. The weekend going from bad to worse for the defending champion. And in fact, he's plumb last now, isn't he? He's got an issue with that car because he's dropped behind Christian Engelhardt now. So the Manthey Porsche struggling. Thomas Preining and Arjen Nguyen, like many of the drivers, raced at the Nürburgring 24 hours last weekend, or what there was of it. It wasn't a full 24-hour race in the end, thanks to the fog. But they got on the podium with a 2nd place finish. Ricardo Feller won the race with Phoenix, and he's in 4th position at the moment. It's the best start in that race, really, coming from against Rene Rast, picking up in terms of the front runners, that all-important place to get ahead of Sheldon van der Linde. Like Jack Aitken last year, he missed the Zandvoort round, so Rene Rast has never driven the BMW in a race at Zandvoort, having moved to the manufacturer last year. But, you know, he's a 26-time race winner, a 3-time DTM champion, a multiple Porsche Super Cup champion. It won't take him long to get used to things, and he's already getting alongside Lucas Auer as they go into Tarzan. And now he swings for the inside, and he's going to get ahead of the Austrian here. But Lucas Auer, he's never one to give up. Side by side they go through turn 2. It's going to be the inside line for the Mercedes. The BMW is ahead. He has to go on the high line around the banking, and he carries the speed all the way around the top. On the gas, lighting up the tyres, leaving most of the rubber on the tarmac is Sheldon van der Linde. And look at this, absolutely flat out through this section. They couldn't get closer, but that was a terrific move from Rene Rast, using the banking and then some to get ahead of the Austrian.
Yeah, Lucas Auer knew exactly what was coming. He had moved to the inside, out of line, into turn 1, but Rene Rast was up the outside. Auer knew that he'd have a chance to get back on turn 2, but didn't have the grunt. Look how quickly Rene Rast has left him behind. We said Rast was on a mission. He sets out next up the road is Ricardo Feller. Sheldon van der Linde has seen his teammate get past the yellow Mamba. He fancies a bit of that as well.
So let's see if Rene Rast can catch the next group ahead. His next target is the Audi of Ricardo Feller. The BMW looking good here. Sheldon van der Linde has had a steady start to the year. He's been up there in the points in all 4 races. He's been in and around the top 6, the best of 4th. But the 2022 champion was on the podium here last year. Didn't get the great start to the race. Behind him is Niki Tim, and behind him is the blue Lamborghini of tomorrow's pole sitter, Maximilian Powell. 9th on the grid, he's 9th in the race. Looking back from Thierry Vermeulen at Marco Wittmann. That's always a scary sight when Marco Wittmann is breathing down your neck, isn't it? That big BMW looking menacing. Now draws alongside. But Thierry Vermeulen is a brave driver of the Ferrari. Emil Frey racing car hangs the inside line. Marco Wittmann, 2-time champion, not one to give up. He goes on the curbs, he goes on the grass. He keeps his foot in because he knows he's got the inside line eventually. When they get to turn 3, down the hill they go, through he goes, and the big BMW gains a place there to go 13th. So Marco Wittmann on a bit of a charge here. That puts him 13th ahead of Vermeulen. He made a really good start to the race on lap 1.
BMWs are looking really strong here. They weren't looking that strong in quali, but whatever they've done, they've turned the heat up. The operating window of the BMW is quite narrow, getting them into the window where everything is set up well, the tyres are at the right temperature, quite narrow, but they seem to have done that. And all 3 of the BMWs moving through the field. Marco Wittmann alongside Thierry Vermeulen, having another look there. Vermeulen did give him the squeeze as much as he dare. Any more than that, the stewards might have got involved.
Yeah, Marco Wittmann, a previous race winner here in the Class 1 era of DTM, was on the 2nd place on the step 3 times as well. And then got Arjen Nguyen, the Turkish driver there in the bright green Manthey EMA, next to go onto the case. Preining those teammate with troubles. He is stone last. His last lap was a 1:35.8, which was 1.3 seconds off the pace. Let's get some team radio to see what's going on.
Hey mate, how's it going? How's it going? Holy shit. Help it.
Right, so
the answer
to the question is, we don't know what's going wrong, but we know it's not going well because of Thomas Preining's response there. Apologies to anybody that was offended by the one-syllable language there for Thomas. How's it going? Not particularly well is sort of the answer in a roundabout way. This then is that run through turn 3. They go through that still. It's a hairpin back to 105 kilometres an hour through Hugenholz. named after John Huguenot's the chairman who was involved in the building of the circuit originally. This is a phenomenal section, one of my favourite places to go and watch up here if you walk around the sand dunes and see them coming over the crest before they drop downhill into turn 8. It's a steep decline there, and then through turn 9, you wind yourself back up into turn 10. Before you go into the back straight, and like turn 3, turn 10 is the second gear corner. It's actually a bit slower, but you've got to get a good exit because you've got that long straight, that back straight, and the run down towards the chicane, right and the left at turns 11 and 12, which has a lot of camber, doesn't it, as we found out yesterday, Brian. The next set of corners they're coming up to, don't really see it on the TV, but it is really banked as well and really cambered.
Yes, we had a little run around the circuit last night, and it really is hard work just even walking to the top, not to mention running. Thierry Vermeulen has got his work cut out because Iron Changuin is breathing all down his exhaust pipe. The stewards are also looking at the number 69 car. He's been shown the black and white flag for that moment with Marco Wittmann where he gave him the squeeze. That has meant that the stewards have given him a warning.
Is a replay of the René Rast move, which has put him ahead of Ricardo Fella, who'd already lost the place to Arjun Maini previously. So Fella got a good start to the race. It kind of looked like he was going to gain a place on Arjun Maini at the start. Never quite worked out. Settled into 4th, and now he's down to 5th place because René Rast, as you saw from that replay, has found a way through. Following on from your point of the BMWs, all 3 of them having good race pace. René Rast absolutely flying, even though he's not had a brilliant start to the championship year. He's still got more points than he had after 2 rounds last year, because he only actually did the first round at Oschersleben in 2023. Rounds 2, or races 3 and 4 at Zandvoort, he had to miss them because he was racing in Formula E. So, and he still finished 5th in the championship. So don't rule René out yet. The BMW looking good. They've announced an evolution to the BMW for next year as well, after 3 years after it was brought in. So they've been looking at improving the reliability, the drivability, but it's going to have better aero on the car. It's going to have change of the roll bars as well. So it should be a big step forward for BMW next year. A replay of the start then. Look at Ricardo Fella, the Audi on the right. He gets to the middle. Has a really good start here. Lucas Auer is fully alongside him. It looks remote, like he's going to try and squeeze in between the Mercedes and the McLaren, but also off to a good start was Arjun Maini. And as we know, he ran Clement Schmidt pretty hard through the first few corners. This is what the start looked like, bang in the middle of the pack from the championship leader, Kelvin van der Linde, all the way around the outside of Ben Durr, but running out of room. This is the rear-facing camera, and that was a bit of contact with Thierry Vermeulen's Ferrari as he found his way past. It's a very tight squeeze there on the way into this right-hander at Tarzan at turn 1, particularly at the start of the race. Slightly back corner as well. Looking back then, René Rast there in the BMW to the left of the picture, kicking up the dust on with Sheldon van der Linde, who lost the place to his teammate at the start, and this was René Rast high again through turn 3. On board with Andy Guin. Oh, that was the contact between Thierry Vermeulen and Marco Wittmann. I think that might be Brian Way, might have got the warning.
Yes, you think? I think at that start you could almost hear Ricardo Fella going, shall I go 3 abreast into turn 1? Maybe not. There's a very large gravel trap there. Team Radio, Clement Schmidt, Durr Motorsport.
Okay, Clemens, the gap to the car behind looks good. Just look out for your rears. 6 laps for pits of window.
This is absolutely tremendous stuff from Durr Motorsport, isn't it? In their 3rd weekend in DTM, front row of the grid, running in 2nd place. They already picked up points at Oschersleben with Clement Schmidt, who was recovering from an appendix operation. And I said, how long was it before the race that you had that operation when you were in hospital? And he said, I was in hospital 7 days before, exactly 7 days before. So, that's brilliant that you were able to race. I said, yeah, my mum wasn't too pleased with me though.
Yeah, it's all the rage, isn't it? Get your appendix out, get a bit of weight out. They're all doing it at the moment. You saw a bit earlier, Marco Wittmann getting past Kelvin van der Linde. Yesterday, Kelvin van der Linde looked like the most dialed-in car on the track. Wittmann has left him in his wake, has disappeared off up the road, 1.7 seconds ahead of him. So the BMW once again proving its might. So next up the road for Marco Wittmann, currently in 12th, homing in on Lucas Stoltz in 11th place.
The one thing that Jack Aitken was a bit worried about when I spoke to him this morning was the pit stops. He said, we haven't been the best at the pit stops. He said, so that's my biggest worry, somebody undercutting us or overcutting us, having a slightly better pit stop. So what you can take from that, Brian, is that Jack Aitken, he's not going to be just settling for the lead of the race here. He's going to try and build up as much advantage as he can.
You're doing great, Arjen. You're doing great. Keep pushing, keep pushing. You're really doing well.
He really is.
Yeah, is he ever? He's having a tremendous start to the season, Arjen Riney. Sorted out the car's issues in qualifying, which was the big problem last year. He was always pretty good in the race, but when you start near the back of the grid, which is what happened last year, his average grid was 19th. His average grid this year is in the top 6. Then it's hard work, even if you've got a quick race car. But he's looking for his second podium, the first ever Indian driver to get a DTM podium the final weekend of 2021, his first season, when he was at the Norris Ring and finished in 2nd place, and he's in 3rd position at the moment. But there is a BMW coming after him, and that is Rene Rast, the 3-time champion, in 4th place, having found a way past Ricardo Fella. And then a bit further back, we've got now Lucas Auer on the case of the Swiss driver. And Sheldon van der Linde still not far behind here. Here's Lucas Stoltz trying to fend off another rapid BMW, Marco Wittmann, who has got the flashy lights on now. I'm coming, I'm here, he says. I'm knocking on the door. You are not going to be staying in front of me for very long, because I'm quicker than you, mate, and I want to get past, says the 2014-2016 champion.
Those Beamers are like they're on rails here this afternoon. Phenomenal stuff. Flashing the lights to try and distract him, but you think it's only a matter of time. Lining up Lucas Stoltz, currently heading out towards turn 7, then into turn 8. You get the feeling he's going to try and get a good exit out of 13, then it will be up onto the banking where the might of that green and white BMW will be shown as he tries to sail past the Mercedes AMG in front. Jack Aitken continuing 2.1 in front. You mentioned already that maybe a little bit worried about the pit stop. If he can keep it at about 2 seconds, easy for me to say, but if he can, they don't need to do a record-breaking pit stop. They need to get in, get out, a solid job, no mistakes.
Best pit stop of the year so far. Race 2 at Lausitz Ring, Maro Engel and Winwood, 6.47 seconds. Marco Wittmann and Schubert matched that, actually, 6.47 seconds as well. Lucas Auer also at Winwood, 6.52. And he's got the 4th best pit stop of the year so far. So top 10 pit stops are all sub 7 seconds. As for Jack Aitken, his best pit stop is 7.25 seconds. Right, here comes, maybe, Marco Wittmann. Has a look at the outside. Right, time to stretch those muscles, everybody, and get yourself set for the pit stop window, which is opening in around about 5 minutes' time for the middle portion of the race. They'll all have to come in and change the Pirelli tyres that we're fueling these days, of course, in DTM. Come in when you like, but you can't come in and have it count as a pit stop anymore under full course yellow or safety car conditions in the DTM. So Jack Aitken leads just 2.2 seconds now, his advantage. Pretty phenomenal, that, isn't it? Although a bit quicker in the first sector on that lap was Clement Schmidt. And he's pulling away from Arjen Riney, who's about 1.7 seconds behind him. Got a good battle going on further back as well between Luca Engsler here and Ben Durr, the teenager, the newcomer to the championship. Engsler had a good start to the race. He got up to 16th at one point, but he slipped back to 17th now. Ben Durr started 12th. He slipped back to 18th, looking to get into the top 15 and score some points. And you look back from the Ferrari, Thierry Vermeulen, looking back at Anjan Guwen in the Manthey EMA Porsche. His teammate Thomas Preining is still stone last. His lap times have remained in around about the mid 1 minute 35s, which is kind of on the pace with everybody in the second half of the field now, but not as quick as those at the front half of the field. But you just sense that there is some sort of issue. Maybe he's driving around it at the moment, Brian, but it's not as quick as it should be, that second Porsche, is it?
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I saw Thomas Preining in 20th place. That has to be said. Clement Schmid was the fastest man on the track on the last lap, but this time around, Jack Aitken has responded at 134.483, so he's opened up the gap to 2.3 seconds. But Clement Schmid, he's not settling for second place, is he? He's pushing hard in that McLaren. But Jack Aitken's had the message and he's back on the gas.
Marco Wittmann's found a way past Lucas Stoltz into 11th place in his BMW. Next target for him, about 0.2 of a second up the road. isn't anymore. It's the Lamborghini of Mirko Bortolotti. That hopped and skipped and bounced as he went uphill through turn 5. The Lamborghini almost completely airborne there. So he's got Mirko Bortolotti just ahead of him now, Marco Wittmann. The BMW has come alive. Remember, no BOP changes to the weight of the BMW since qualifying, but they've got clearly good race pace. So there then is Mirko Bortolotti. He'll be second on the grid for tomorrow's race in the number 92 car. 2 places ahead of him in a train of Lamborghinis is Nicky Tim, who qualified 8th and is still running in 8th place. The Viking is some great social media from Nicky. That day at 10 past 12, about an hour and 20 minutes before the race, they had the driver autograph session in the pit lane. All the fans here for it. And Nicky Tim's put on his social media post, 10 past 12, come and meet the Viking in the pit lane. And then he put on the race start time. Everybody else says on their social media posts, yeah, race starts at 1:30. Nicky Tim says war starts at 1:30.
Amazing, what a character. He's in that 8th place at the moment. 8th is his best so far this season. Not had a lot of luck in the first 4 races of the season, but if he can move forward from 8th, I think he'd be pretty happy about that. Marco Wittmann, in the meantime, has now caught up with Mirko Bortolotti, the man who's always there or thereabouts, but Wittmann now trying to break in to the top 10. You don't need to have a timing screen to tell you what the gaps between them is. The gap is, well, nothing much at all. Marco Wittmann absolutely monstering that BMW across the curves, around the corner, lining up the Lamborghini, once again heading out towards 7 and 8, once again looking to make a good exit out of turn 13 when he gets there. It's along that pit straight where he'll try and make his move again.
5.2 litre naturally aspirated Lamborghini versus turbo-powered BMW, 3 litre straight, 6 on that one. BOP equals things out, as you can see, between these different power amounts. The McLaren has 720 brake horsepower, but with the tweaks to the turbo and the BOP weight of the cars, that all equalises out. But it's phenomenal to see. If you're Mirko Bortolotti, look in the mirrors, you won't see Marco Wittmann's face. You'll just see the grille of the BMW because it's so much higher than that Lamborghini. It's almost dwarfing him, isn't it?
I thought you were going to say you see the whites of his eyes, because you get the feeling that he is wide-eyed here as he goes up onto the banking. Absolutely giving it all he's got, full beans, out along the pit straight. Bortolotti looking at his mirrors and looking ahead at the same time in towards turn 1. We can see them just going out of the picture in the background, filing around the Tarzan turn. He hasn't made it stick this time, but surely only a matter of time before he's into the top 10. Out to turn 2 now, be up onto the 19 degrees of turn 3, the steepest banking on the circuit, and then up the hill, a blind crest coming up. Team radio from Marco Wittmann.
Yeah, copy.
Very cool. We don't know what the thing he was copying was, but Marco, as ever, remains as cool as ice. The 2-time DTM champion. Absolutely heartbreaking for him, wasn't it, at Oschersleben, when he and the team had worked the strategy very well around the full course yellow, and pitted at the right time, went from almost the back of the field into first place, led Jack Aitken, who'd been leading everything up until that point, only for the car to run out of fuel with 5 minutes or so left on the clock. And heartbreak for Marco, but he never, ever gives up. He's such a gutsy driver, Marco Wittmann. It's great to see him back in a competitive car for the first time in a few years. And as you say, he's all over Mirko Bortolotti at the moment, and being quicker than Mirko is not easy, because Mirko, of course, runner-up in the championship last year, a key contender in the points this year, running in 5th place in the standings. Max Powell, though, remember, he's on pole position tomorrow in that blue Powell Motorsport number 71 Lamborghini just in front. What's happened to Clement Schmidt? He's gone into the pits. So the pit window opens, and straight away, Clement Schmidt, and he's not the only one, comes into the pits. There are more diving in as well. Ricardo Feller, Sheldon van der Linde, and Nicky Tim all come into the pits right at the top of the pit window. So they've gone from an early stop. Jack Aitken had built up his lead to 4 seconds. The lead now becomes 5.5, because up to second place comes Arjun Miney. Nicky Tim is released, change the rears and the fronts. Out he goes, life got the tyres, is Sheldon van der Linde. Feller gets out just in front of him. So looked like a good pit stop that from at Schubert Motorsports. Away goes Thierry Vermeulen, smokes the tyres, so they're warmed up now then. And that was very close from Sheldon van der Linde, almost jumping ahead of Ricardo Feller. As for the Grasser Racing team, the Liqui Moly backed car of Luca Engstler.
Some open track where they can actually put in some hot times and get the undercut on the cars that were in front of them.
Sheldon van der Linde's pit stop 6.6 seconds, and Christian Engelhardt with a left rear puncture on his Lamborghini, so he's going to have to limp home to the pit lane if he can, and try not to make any more damage to that car. He's only at turn 10 at the moment.
Puncture, rear left puncture, rear left puncture.
As if his day couldn't get any worse.
We are ready to box, we are ready to box.
He had a torrid time in qualifying this morning, didn't he? Was 1.3 seconds, I think it was, off the pace.
Jack Aitken's come in from the lead of the race. Into Mirko Bortolotti and Luca Stolz. 7.7 second stop for Aitken, which is about where they've been this year. Sub 8 seconds, good, but not fantastic. The best pit stop so far is 6.1 seconds that we've had. But going back to Sheldon van der Linde's pit stop, that was 0.8 of a second quicker than the pit stop of Ricardo Feller, which is why he got right on his tail. So Aitken is going to be still the leading pit stop as he goes back out and heads towards turn 2, and he's built up a much bigger advantage, look, over Clement Schmidt, who's the second best pit stopper, and then Bortolotti comes out ahead of Ricardo Feller and Sheldon van der Linde. Lucas Stolz is in the mix as well. He comes out right in front of Nicky Tim, but they're on cold tyres, and it's not going to be easy to get through the banking as Mirko Bortolotti understeers, goes high. He's going to lose a place to Feller already. Sheldon van der Linde is going to be next to Pants. This is for a next third place. Bortolotti makes that Lamborghini wide, though, as they go absolutely nose to tail over the crest, down into the right-hander at turn 7. Sheldon van der Linde's got a foot in the door now, though, accelerates out, draws alongside the Italian and gets through. Bortolotti, though, is now ahead of his teammate, like Nicky Tim. So it's been a good pit stop now. He's still understeering wide, though, and Nicky Tim throws it down the inside. And the Dane gets through now as well. Might be a bit of paintwork traded there as well between the two SSR performance drivers. And Mario Schubauer, the team principal, saying they work really well together, but he's not afraid to let them race. Nicky Tim, as you say, bad start to the season, 3 retirements out of 4, looking for his best result of the season so far. As Lucas Auer comes in, they've had some tremendous pit stops for him this year. So Jack Aitken is just coming out of turn 14. You'll just see him coming over the start-finish line next. Here is Rene Rast coming out. And there is Lucas Auer coming out. So this is for the net lead. It's going to be tight, but Jack Aitken will get out ahead of Rene Rast, who's then got to get his tyres up to temperature. So Aitken, who's the leader anyway, is the leading pit stopper now, ahead of Rast. A net third, but only very briefly, is Lucas Auer. So Clement Schmidt a net third, but that means Rene Rast has effectively gone up from 4th to 2nd place now, because that's him well ahead of Clement Schmidt, although, again, he's got to get his tyres up to temperature. So Aitken from Schmidt at the moment. And there then is going to be this battle to watch, because Sheldon van der Linde now trying to close the gap back up to Ricardo Feller as they come absolutely flying through here. Look at the cars dancing over the tarmac. You can see all the bits of rubber flying off the tyres as well, can't you?
Oh, wonderful shot that is. See the cars almost getting airborne. Sheldon van der Linde had that great pit stop, but he has attracted the attention of the stewards. He's been shown the black and white flag for weaving in the pit lane. Meanwhile, Luca Engstler is under investigation for an unsafe pit stop. So whatever happened there, the GRT Grasser team, or whether it's Luca himself, but certainly investigation going on. Arjun Maini, the race leader, into the pits.
Christian Engelhardt out of the race. Right, Maini is released. Jack Aitken is the leading pit stop. He's at turn 13, quite a long way back. Where is Maini going to come out here? Potential podium on the cards. Can he get the lead of the race here? It could be, because Jack Aitken, look, he's just coming over the start-finish line. Rene Rast is a net second. He's going over the line next, followed by Clement Schmidt. So, into the net lead of the race. It might be brief, but goes Arjun Maini. Here is the Ferrari. Arjun Maini has got the net lead of the race, but can he possibly keep Jack Aitken behind with cold tyres? The answer is absolutely not. Jack goes all the way around the outside and moves ahead of him, but Arjun has got a a fantastic chance of being in a net second place here. René Rast is quite a long way behind, and by the end of the lap, the Mercedes will have its tyres up to temperature. So when it all settles down, it should be Aitken the leader, Miney second, Rast in third, and Clement Schmidt off the podium down to fourth place.
I tell you who's going to be a danger man for Jack Aitken for the front runners. That's Marco Wittmann. He's staying out long. He's still putting in very quick lap times, and when he comes in, he is going to be somewhere amongst the mix with the leaders if all goes well with the pit stop. So he's staying out late. Also staying out, Ian Chan-Nguyen. He's out there, as well as Mauro Engel and Thomas Preining. So those are the only four to yet to pit. They are staying out late into the pit window.
This could be the best battle of the race, couldn't it? Lucas Auer, Ricardo Feller, Sheldon van der Linde. Sheldon's just at the absolute best first sector of the lap. The BMW has made quick work of catching up to the back of the Swiss driver. Has a think about going around the outside. That doesn't happen on the way into the chicane. Out of the left-hander at turn 12 they come. So next chance for Sheldon is going to be on the run down towards turn 1. Nguyen comes in now to make his stop. Mauro Engel comes in to make his stop as well. Trying to come from near the back of the field, and the Porsche will get out ahead of the Mercedes. That's Jack Aitken in the net lead, going into turn 1 ahead of Arjun Maini, René Rast and Clement Schmidt. And then the battle for a net 5th place is between Lucas Auer, Sheldon van der Linde and Ricardo Feller. Feller's just about fending off the BMW for now. That's how close they are, everybody. Close enough to give each other a cuddle on the way out of turn 1.
That's quite the cuddle that was, wasn't it? So pit stops almost done and dusted. Still Marco Wittmann and Thomas Preining still out on track, yet to make their stop. Heading down to Verena now with some news from the pits.
And I'm here with Christian Engelhardt. Christian, unfortunately for you, the race ended already. You had a flat tire. What happened?
Yeah, nothing really. I just got a flat tire, so I had no contact, nothing during the race. So, yeah, just unlucky, I guess.
Just very unlucky. Thank you very much, Christian, and back to you.
Thanks, Verena. So no contact as far as he knows. That's always a bit of a worry, isn't it, when you get a puncture and you don't quite know why. So still, we've got Ricardo Feller fending off Sheldon van der Linde, the 2022 champion. Then you've got Nicky Tim trying to come after them as well. Mirko Bortolotti hasn't quite got the pace of his teammate in this race. Nguyen and Engel both came out well of that pit stop phase, so there should be both of them well up in the points when things settle down. Into the pits from second on the road has come Preining. Might as well try something different. He's that far back, but Wittmann, you're right, he's going to be the last of the pit stoppers, isn't he? He stayed out again. And still plenty of time. We're not even halfway through the pit window here. So it's going to be a pretty long second stint for a lot of these drivers. Preining is released by the Manthey EMA team then. And this is going for second place. René Rast at the inside of Arjun Maini from a long way back. And that's for a net second place to get ahead of the Indian driver. And look at the McLaren as well, Brian. He's flying after that Mercedes. Clement Schmidt is not interested in fourth place. He wants a podium, thank you very much.
Yeah, the McLaren absolutely coming alive. His teammate Ben Doer may be down in 17th place, but he's the quickest of anybody in Sector 2 as well. So the McLaren's really coming on as this race goes along. We're heading back down to Verena with more news from the pits.
And I've got a man here who also unfortunately had to end his race, Luca Engstler. I guess there was contact. Is that the reason why you had to end the race?
Yeah, we had a horrible pit stop. I took one mechanic with me. Seems like they were not ready. I was under the wing of another car, going as usual in my pit position, and they were still preparing. So it seems like that something went wrong there. I hope he's all right. Doesn't look too good, but yeah.
All right, thank you very much. The mechanic is being cared for right now, so hopefully everything's going to be all right there. Back to you.
Yeah, thanks for the update, Verena. Yeah, we didn't see that, but Luca Engstler there explaining what happened, and our best wishes to the mechanic that sounds like he's been injured there during that pit stop. Such an intense phase of the race during those pit stop periods. Right, Thomas Preining, remember, he's trying to get his 21st consecutive point-scoring finish. Points in every race last year, points in all 4 races this year. The only other driver that's done that is Ricardo Feller. But somehow he seems like a champagne cork to keep rising to the top. No matter how much you try and push him down to the bottom, he keeps rising back up. And that pit stop has got him a good few places up the road. He's back into the points. He's ahead of Thierry Vermeulen, and he's making his way into Tarzan now. And guess who's behind? That's right, the driver that's ahead of him in the championship. So the championship leader, Kelvin van der Linde, is 14th. Thomas Preining is 15th. he's back in the points somehow. How do you manage that?
I said it was going to be a topsy-turvy race, didn't I? But Thomas Priding, you can't keep a good man down, can you? While all that's been going on, we've lost Max Powell, the driver who's going to be starting tomorrow's race on pole position. He has retired from the race. So 3 retirees so far: Luca Engstler, Max Powell and Christian Engelhardt.
So Thomas Priding has had a good strategy there. It's got him up from basically the back of the field, up into the points, ahead of Thierry Vermeulen. You're on board with Thierry now, who is out of the points. And in comes Marco Wittmann. It'll be fascinating to see where he comes out here. We know he's quick. He's going to also have fresher tyres than anybody else at the end of the race, having pitted a few minutes after them. So Jack Aitken is at turn 13 at the moment. He's going to be well up in the top 10, I reckon. He could come out of this in 5th place, potentially, ahead of that battle between Lucas Auer, Ricardo Feller and Sheldon van der Linde. Right, over the line now goes Jack Aitken. Over the line next goes René Rast. There they are to the right of your picture. There is the green BMW of Marco Wittmann to the left. 4 have gone past. He's 5th at the moment. And there is Lucas Auer. Now, we won't keep Lucas behind him, but he's going to come out in the top 10, isn't he? He was 11th before it all happened, and he's going to have fresher tyres, and he's mightily quick. Look at this battle between Sheldon van der Linde and Ricardo Feller continuing on meanwhile. Wittmann comes out just in between the 2 SSR Performance Lamborghinis, and van der Linde finds a way through at last into turn 3 to get ahead of Ricardo Feller. So that will put him up into 6th place now. And Wittmann, though, we want to watch. Give it a lap or two, get those tyres up to temperature, and he's going to be gunning back for those 2 Lamborghinis of Nicky Tim. And first, Mirko Bortolotti.
I think Sheldon and Ricardo might have been having, to put it in your terminology, a bit of a cuddle in turn 1 and 2. The 2 cars look to be getting very close together, but Sheldon finally has found the route past, left Ricardo Feller in his wake. But that's been a long-standing battle, hasn't it?
Absolutely right. OK, so Jack Aitken coming through ahead of René Rast. Now, Jack Aitken's gap before all this pit stop carnage happened was about 4 seconds to the 2nd place car of what was then Clement Schmidt. He's got to the 2nd place car of the now BMW of René Rast. It's 2.8 seconds, so it should be OK, but it's kind of half the advantage that he did have. And René Rast, of course, was miles more back than 4 seconds, so tremendous effort from Schubert and from René Rast. It's not just about the pit stops, the stationary time, it's about the in and the out laps as well. And René Rast having a great run here to try and get his first podium of the season. Arjun Maini looking to get his first podium since the end of 2021. He's there in 3rd place. He's pulled just a little bit away now from Clement Schmidt, but the McLaren's still going great guns in 4th place. Lucas Auer 5th, Sheldon van der Linde we saw getting past Ricardo Feller for 6th place. Nicky Tim is 8th. Mirko Bortolotti 9th, Marco Wittmann in 10th place. Thomas Priding still just about fending off Thierry Vermeulen. Still don't think all is quite right with that number 91 Porsche. It's not as quick as he should be, is it? They have struggled for the pace this weekend long, but he's definitely been way slower in this race than his teammate. And it's just trying to dig in now and trying to get a point or 2 out of it. But Ben Durluck, only a couple of positions back, a few laps ago, he set and still has the fastest lap of the race.
Yes, Ben Durluck looking good to potentially get his best result of the season so far. Taking another look there at René Rast as he moved to the inside of Arjun Maini. And I think René Rast is planning on becoming Jack Aitken's worst nightmare as he's in that BMW. The thing Jack Aitken doesn't want above all else is a safety car of any sort, because the Beamer is looking very quick. He's taken another 4 tenths out of Jack Aitken's lead, so 2.262, a little under 25 minutes plus 1 lap remaining of this race, and René Rast is moving on up. He has got his eyes on Jack Aitken, the target in front of him. The gap is closing. What can Jack Aitken do to respond? Arjun Maini in that solid 3rd place.
Just having a quick look at points as it stands. Kelvin van der Linde is going to end the race. He still is the championship leader. He's got 2 points at the moment for 14th place. So, yeah, just 65 points he'll have. 62 for Ricardo Feller. He'll move up to 2nd, I reckon, in the standings. Thomas Priding, 56 points, 3rd. 55 points, Maro Engel. 54 points, Mirko Bortolotti, and 52 for Arjun Maini. I forgot Jack Aitken, 59 points, so he's going to move up just outside the top 3. He'll go, if he wins the race, from 10th to the championship
he really will.
up to 4th. Well, you never take anything for granted in the DTM, do you? So I reckon it would be Van der Linde, Kelvin, 65 points, 62 for Ricardo Feller, and third, 59 for Jack Aitken. So he'll go from 10th to 3rd with his second race win of the season if it stays like this.
Right, Rene Rast is on a mission. Amazingly, Ben Durr, the quickest lap of the race on lap 18, a 1:33.614. But Rene Rast is circulating quicker than Jack Aitken. On the last lap, it was only about 0.02 of a second, but he is closing in. The gap down to 2.137. So Jack Aitken will no doubt have been told that. There's confirmation of the pit stop times of Rene Rast. You can see 6.3 seconds for his pit stop. That's where a bit of that gap came from that he managed to close up. But there's Jack Aitken, there's Rene Rast, there's Arjun Maini, and there's Clemens Schmid as well.
Yeah, so 2.039 seconds, the gap from Aitken to Rast. Last time around, 1:34.3 for the race leader, 1:34.2 for Rast in the BMW in second place. It was quicker, but only by a 10th. That means 10 laps just to get 1 second back at that closing rate. There's confirmation that Jack Aitken will move up to 3rd in the standings. Good that my maths is still just about right. Arjun Maini in 3rd place is 1.6 seconds adrift of Rene Rast. He's just done a personal best first sector. Both Rene Rast in the BMW, Arjun Maini in the Mercedes, 0.2 quicker than Jack Aitken through the first sector of this lap. So it's not yet done for the Ferrari driver. Clemens Schmid is 2.2 seconds adrift of Arjun Maini. But if they get into a battle, you never know, he might still get back in the fight. You're looking at Thomas Preining at the moment, running in the last points position of 15th. And every single point we know in the DTM counts. We always go down to the last weekend, sometimes the last race of the season. And these are the two that lead and run second in the championship coming into this race. And Thomas Preining will be very keen to get past Kelvin van der Linde.
Exactly the same lap time as Feller. Feller's running P7, we're running P14. We have to survive today. We have to survive today. All good, man. Keep going.
Compare you to your teammate, that'll wind you up, won't it? The person in the identical car is in 7th and you're not.
Bear in mind, Kelvin van der Linde is ahead of Thomas Preining now. He's also going to be way ahead of him on the grid tomorrow because Kelvin will be 6th on the grid. Thomas is going to be back in 11th spot on the grid after his 5-place grid penalty for holding up Clemens Schmid and Maro Engel in qualifying. But as it stands, Kelvin van der Linde is going to have 9 points advantage over the Austrian, but he could cut that down to 7 points if he could find a way past the Audi for now. Looks like he's quicker at the moment. He's found a bit of pace in that Porsche. Thierry Vermeulen will be desperate to get into the top 15 and get his first Zandvoort point as a DTM driver. So the Ferrari hasn't been shaken off just yet either, and Ben Durr is trying to get into the points as well in the McLaren, which we know is quick. Oh, is that Rene Rast in the background going slowly? It feels like it might be. Just looked a bit tardy coming out of the previous corner. What's the gap like? I'll be panicking over nothing. It didn't look as quick as it should have been. Arjun Maini looks a bit closer than he was. They go through the second sector now. Yeah, he lost half a second to Jack Aitken through that sector, and Arjun Maini closed up by 0.3 as well. So whether he just got the back end of a moment or whether he's got a slight issue developing, but he suddenly lost half a second in that sector alone. So we'll just keep an eye on that. But
challenges Ricardo Feller. This is for 7th place. So the Lamborghini of Nicky Tim, the leading of the SSR cars, out onto the pit straight, lining them up. Ricardo Feller, one eye on the mirror, one eye in front, if that were possible. In the background, though, the mighty Marco Wittmann continuing his charge forwards, challenging Mirko Bortolotti. So it is Audi, Lamborghini, BMW. Marco Wittmann looking the quickest of the 4.
Yeah, I don't think Nicky Tim is going to not have a go, is he? If it's a gap, he's going to find the gap. He's quite a brave driver. So Nicky Tim all over the back of Ricardo Feller. Ricardo has got championship points to think about. Nicky is trying to get his best results of the season. If he gets 7th place, it will be. And all the while, you've got Marco Wittmann with slightly fresher tyres, looking absolutely menacing in that Scheffler-backed BMW, all over the back of Mirko Bortolotti. Mirko looking forward to a better day tomorrow when he's going to be on the front row of the grid. But it's just about sometimes damage limitation. When you haven't had the best race, when you haven't had the best grid, just try and get some points out of it. Let's hear from the race leader.
Rust 34.6, gap 2.6. Rust 34.6, gap 2.6.
Yeah, Rust is beginning to struggle, isn't he? That gap has gone from 2 seconds to 2.6 seconds. And Arjun Maini looks like he is closing in. He's a 3/10 quicker through that last sector as well. So look at the Indian driver there in the blue and yellow, number 36 Mercedes, run by Hubert Hout's team, HRT. They go through. Clement Schmidt kind of on his own now in 4th. Lucas Auer in the yellow Mercedes 5th. The red, white and yellow BMW of Sheldon van der Linde next. Then this battle for 7th between Ricardo Feller and Nicky Tim. And there you go. We next see the BMW ahead of Mirko Bortolotti. So Marco Wittmann has got himself up ahead of Mirko and into 9th place now in the BMW. Let's hear from the Italian driver.
What's wrong with the left rear? I had a lot of pressure. I keep going. Maybe it's a slow puncture. I'm not sure.
Okay, copy.
Could be a left rear puncture, loss of pressure, something's wrong. So that explains why not only has he lost the position, but he's dropped back a long way. Let's see how Marco managed to find a way. Oh yeah, just missed the apex. The car suddenly got away from him, the Lamborghini. I see exactly what he's saying there. Mirko feels it, and the door was left open towards the end of the lap. Easy pickings in the end for Marco Wittmann, but a big worry now with that tyre for Mirko Bortolotti. He's struggling. Could be a slow puncture, he says, at the rear of the car. He's keeping going for now, but he's lost a lot of time to Marco Wittmann already.
Yeah, they're going to probably want to pit that if he starts to lose any more time, because clearly an issue going on there. Nicky Tim has a sense of urgency about him to get past Ricardo Feller, because Marco Wittmann is closing in on them both. And he knows that if he makes a move before too long, Wittmann will just jump into any kind of gap that might appear. Certainly Bortolotti not looking like a challenger at the moment.
No, just try and get the thing home. So speaking to SSR yesterday, Mario Schubauer, remember at Lausitzring, the heavens opened and it was all sorts of carnage on slick tyres at the start of the race, but then it dried out towards the end of the race. The one that braved it onto slick tyres was, of course, Mirko Bortolotti. He saw him charging through from basically the back of the field to get himself some valuable championship points. The team reckons 2 more laps. He was that much quicker than everybody else on that slick tyre. 2 more laps, he'd have got a podium finish out of that race.
Ifs, buts and maybes, isn't it? René Rast appears to have picked up the pace again. Whatever was wrong, the gap is back down to 2.287 between himself and Jack Aitken in the lead of this race.
Yeah, definitely had a wobble for a few laps, didn't you, René Rast? Lost 6 or 7 tenths of a second to the race leader. Also started to be caught by the Mercedes. Mercedes is still with him though, 0.7 seconds. So Arjun Maini looking to equal his best ever finish in the DTM. You're looking at the battle between Ricardo Feller, Nicky Tim, the yellow Lamborghini with the orange wing mirrors, and the BMW of Marco Wittmann. Bortolotti, who is a slow puncture, it's a very slow one because he's still going, isn't he? But just feels like there's an issue with the car. He certainly hasn't got the pace to hang on to these 3 though, and he's going to have to watch the mirrors pretty shortly because Lucas Stoltz and Engin Guen and potentially Maro Engel will be coming after him. There is Maro, battling away once again. He's fed up of all the overtaking he's done. Brian came out with a stat yesterday to say, oh, God, how many was
35.
35 overtakes in the first 4 races of the season as Ricardo Feller almost does a Kelvin van der Linde and goes through the gravel trap at turn 13. That's what happened to Kelvin yesterday in qualifying. And pushing hard then is the Audi. Also pushing hard is the BMW of Marco Wittmann. Here comes the big Marco BMW then trying to go around the outside to try eventually to have the inside line when they get to turn 3, and he might just do it, you know. The BMW, oh, he's already through. Easy pickings. I thought he was going to have to go side by side with the Dane for about 3 corners there, but he'd already got the job done. So Marco Wittmann picks up 1 more place, more points, up into 8th place now, having a terrific drive. And I don't think he's done yet because Ricardo Feller, he's only just about a car length ahead of him now.
That's insane pace in that car once again. You saw Nicky Tim, as we'd seen before, he moved to the inside to try and defend the position into turn 1, but he had absolutely nothing he could do. You can see how hard Wittmann is pushing the back of the car, just sliding slightly. Ricardo Feller, well, he's going to have his mirrors absolutely full of that car in just a few seconds. Nicky Tim, well, he's not given up, as he's still pushing hard. This is a look again at that turn 1, around the outside, the long way around, just driving around the Lamborghini.
Yeah, nicely done that. So from 17th on the grid up into 8th place now for Marco Wittmann, and 7th place certainly a possibility. Still 13.5 minutes plus 1 lap of the race to go. Arjun Maini very much hanging on to René Rast. Tremendous start to the season for Arjun. Through he comes. Over the line in fourth to Clement Schmidt, not that far behind them, but waiting for them to get into a battle, I think. Right, here comes Marco Wittmann out of the banking, flat out, gets up to 6th gear, gets up to 260 kilometres an hour, and pulls out of the slipstream, dives for the inside line. He's just got to make the corner now. He's certainly got the position sorted already, and of course he does, of course he gets through. Marco Wittmann picks up another place. That's 17th to 7th now, 10 places gained. Terrific drive.
In all BMW news, René Rast has pegged back Jack Aitken just a little bit more, a lot more now. It was 2.012, now 1.812 is the gap between first and second. So René Rast has not given up on this. Jack Aitken will be aware that the blue BMW is closing in once again in that second place.
I don't think René Rast ever gives up, does he? ever, ever, ever. And they're going to... This could be interesting, Brian, because they're battling for the lead of the race. They're going to be sharing an airplane and a helicopter over the next 2 days together, because they're all travelling together, these Le Mans drivers. Could be some long conversations. Could be some awkward silences if it all goes very wrong. We shall find out.
Will someone do a Ayrton Senna and throw the suitcase out of the plane halfway up? But yes, interesting conversations indeed. Oh, to be a fly on the wall.
Right, so René Rast, you're right, he's pegged him back a bit. Still over 2 seconds, the gap.
It's opened up again, so yes, it got it below 2 seconds. But Aitken, once again, responding. You get the feeling the team are on the blower, just telling him exactly what he needs to do. Jack Aitken's such a wise driver. He knows that if he goes too hard, he's going to lose his tyres and leave himself vulnerable. So doing just what he needs to do to keep about 2 seconds over that second place.
Despite overtaking, Marco Wittmann was still 0.4 of a second quicker than Sheldon van der Linde on the previous lap. So I'm now beginning to wonder if he can close a 5.9 second gap and get ahead of his teammates. That's been a really good race for the Schubert drivers. I suppose not quite so good for Sheldon van der Linde, who hasn't gained anything, but René Rast has certainly gained from his starting position. The one with the most gains in the race has been his other teammate, Marco Wittmann. Just the 5 championship titles between the 3 drivers at Schubert Motorsport. We, a few minutes ago, saw Torsten Schubert watching on from the pit box, the team principal. And having sort of been freed of worrying about the BMW in the mirrors, Nicky Tim has got back onto the case of the Audi of Ricardo Feller now, and what's become the battle for 8th place. You're looking back at Maro Engel from Mayangin Guwen's car, Turkish driver 12th, the German driver in 13th place, a race winner here last year. But again, he's made progress, not as much, but that's understandable at Zandvoort, as he has in the other races. But still, from 18th on the grid to be up into the points, about as good as he could have done, really. And Maro will continue to try and get ahead of the Porsche if he can.
Do you know what's phenomenal is we're 50 minutes into this race and all of the 17 runners are on the same lap. There are 33.4 seconds separating first to last place. That's how close it is in DTM this year. Nobody disappearing off into the distance. Ben Dorr currently in 17th place, but he's only 31.9 seconds back from the race leader.
Wittmann was 0.3 quicker than Sheldon van der Linde on that lap, so probably going to take, it's probably a bit much of an ask that for Marco to catch up and get a chance of being in the top 6, but just keep the pressure up. Certainly keeping lots of pressure up, as you'd expect, really, is Nicky Tim. And he's all over the back of Ricardo Feller as it stands. Ricardo, who was a race winner here at Zandvoort last year. His first ever win in his first season of the DTM at Imola from pole. Won here from pole. But he's had some tremendous drives through the order as well, thinking back to starting near the back of the pack and getting a podium out of one of the races at the Red Bull Ring last year. So struggling with the car yesterday, but it's been a better day today for Ricardo Feller. He's going to have to come on 10th on the grid tomorrow, though. So he needs to absolutely try and make the most of this. He's still going to be disappointed, though, isn't he? Because remember, he started 4th on the grid, and here he is in 8th place as it stands.
Someone who's not struggling all of a sudden, Mirko Bortolotti, whatever was slowing him down seems to have resolved itself. I don't think it was a slow puncture because he's now caught back up with Nicky Tim, who had left him in his wake only a couple of laps ago. But suddenly they've hauled up behind Ricardo Feller in that 8th place. And Bortolotti back on it again.
Yeah, it's almost like maybe the tyres just overheated for a little bit and he just felt wrong, the car. because he had 2 or 3 laps where he just massively dropped away, but he's confident the car's okay now. The tyres have come back to him, and you're right, he's absolutely pushing on. And again, for him, every single championship point counts in this battle for the 2024 season, this 40th anniversary of the DTM. Right, Ricardo Fella looks in the mirror, sees lights flashing on the Lamborghini of Nicky Tim, but he'll remain cool, calm and collected. The Lamborghini closes up again, though, on the way into Tarzan as they go down from 260 to just 90 kilometres an hour through that right-hander. In recent addition to that corner has been a slip road, an escape road, and there were lots of tyre marks and rubber marks there as people have obviously missed their braking points into turn 1, because it is super quick on the way into that part of the course. And the next quick section is the one they are about to go into, Maro Engel and Arjen Nguyen. Further up the road, we've got Sheldon van der Linden now, and you can see him almost touching 200 kilometres an hour before he slows the car down and makes it through the double right at turns 8 and 9 towards the end of the second sector, the middle sector of the lap. He is within 2 seconds now of Lucas Auer.
Oh.
He thinks he's got a puncture.
Did you say puncture?
Potentially, yes.
Left rear?
Well,
no, right.
Yeah.
No.
Don't know. Last sector time was 34.9. Yeah, he lost half a second to Lucas Auer. But is this again tyres playing tricks with the mind like we had with Mirko Bortolotti? He's definitely looking like it's backed off, though. Is he going to be pit bound? And if so, it'll be his first non-finish, non-points of the year for Sheldon van der Linden. So we'll keep an eye on that, whether he stays out or comes in. Meanwhile, Ricardo stayed out. Ricardo Fella, meanwhile, fending off not 1, but 2 Lamborghinis. Good luck with that. Right, here they come into Tarzan. Nicky Tim shows his nose up the inside once again, but Ricardo Fella seems to have just enough of a gap to be able to fend them off. So he's obviously getting a good exit from turn 14 each time.
In the background, I can see look like Arjen Nguyen and Maro Engel also going head-to-head, but Nicky Tim wants to get past Ricardo Fella without letting Mirko Bortolotti through. Good luck with that as well. Yeah, a bit of a fight going on behind them. So there is Lucas Stolz. Then is Maro Engel and Arjen Nguyen as well.
Switched around.
So yes, they have. We saw them side by side at the back of the shot. Maro Engel doing what he does. That's overtaking lots of cars during the race.
Yeah, phenomenal stuff. If there were bonus points for overtakes, he'd be the championship leader, wouldn't he, Maro Engel? This is how he did it on board with Maro. All the way around the outside. Not quite there. That was at turn 1, but that gives him the inside line for turn 3 eventually. Still on the outside at 2. This is what it looked like from the Porsche's perspective, but here comes Nicky Tim on Ricardo Fella as they go side by side for 7th place. But the Audi driver wants every single point he can get from this for his championship challenge, and somehow keeps behind him. The first of the Lamborghinis, Mirko Bortolotti right behind, and look in the background, Lucas Stolz is getting much, much closer. Missing the apex, big wobble, big trip to the gravel track for Nicky Tim's all gone wrong. Bortolotti passes him, Stolz passes him, and he's going to lose places to Maro Engel and Arjen Nguyen as well. Just one little mistake there, and it's cost him 4 positions.
That wobble, I thought he'd got a puncture, to be quite honest. Another one struggling with tyres. You see, he just went out wide. Yes. Then he got onto the dirt. The tyres are dirty, no grip at all. Keeps his foot on it, but rejoins, losing a load of positions. He'll be absolutely gutted about that. He'd been so strong up until then.
So Bortolotti up to 9th place now, and he'll be the next to have a go at Ricardo Fella. So from 11th, going forwards, Mirko Bortolotti. Not everybody can say that in this race. Kelvin van der Linden, championship leader, 14th, has lost ground from 13th on the grid. Thomas Priding, yes, he's made progress, but only to 1 championship point and 15th place overall. So for Bortolotti, he keeps going quietly about his business this season, just keeps on picking up the points, and that will be critical. If he can get up ahead of Ricardo Fella into 8th place, and with 2nd on the grid tomorrow, it could turn into a pretty solid weekend this for last year's championship runner-up. Right, this is Rast in the BMW and Miney in the Mercedes, 2nd and 3rd. There's your race leader coming through shot now, Jack Aitken in the Ferrari. The gap is down to less than 2 seconds, but there are less than 4 minutes to go, plus 1 lap in this race. 4th place, the McLaren of Clement Schmidt coming through. Absolutely phenomenal effort for the team there. Then Lucas Auer, then Sheldon van der Linden. He's okay. thought he got a puncture, but again, maybe just the tyres playing tricks on him, because it seems to be okay. Marco Wittmann at one stage was 5.9 seconds behind. That gap has obviously come down. It's still 3.1 seconds though, so Sheldon should be okay for a top 6 finish.
All the British fans who are watching us, don't panic. I think Jack Aitken has this under control. He's opened it back up to just over 2 seconds. You just get the feeling he's controlling this. Thomas Preining still trying to get something out of this race. He's in the last points-paying position in 15th place. He can see Kelvin van der Linde, the championship leader, in front of him. Into turn 3, a very difficult corner to get right. You see drivers taking different lines through it. Some go high, some low, some through the middle. At the moment, Ricardo Feller looking like he's struggling for pace in that 14th place. Thomas Preining looking to move it up a little bit, but Thierry Vermeulen is also there as well. A fairly quiet race by his standards in 16th place.
And hoping it all goes wrong is the McLaren of Ben Durr to get himself up into the points. So Preining battling away with the championship leader. Let's hear from him now.
Heads down, 4 laps to go. You're doing good, 4 laps.
Yeah, he's doing all right, isn't he, Thomas Preining? Keeping this record, as is Ricardo Feller, being in the points for, that will be another race, a 21st consecutive race. And they might be battling over just 2 championship points, but Kelvin van der Linde and Thomas Preining will battle. They will give it 100%, because at the end of the season, you lose the championship by a point, you'll be kicking yourself. You'll go back, your mind will go back to Zandvoort. You say, why didn't I have a go? Why didn't I just try and get past him? There's confirmation that Thomas Preining is going to fall out of the top 3 in the championship, and he'll have his work cut out tomorrow from the middle of the grid as well. Kelvin van der Linde will have his championship advantage halved from 8 to 4 points. Ricardo Feller will move up to 2nd in the standings, despite only running 8th in this race. And then Jack Aitken, the potential race winner with a few laps to go now, will move up from 10th to 3rd in the championship. There'll only be 6 points between all 3 of them. And of those 3, the one that's going to be the best position on the grid tomorrow is going to be Jack Aitken, because he starts 4th on the grid tomorrow, albeit like Thomas Preining in this race, he'll have 20 kilograms of success ballast on board. I know he's been carrying the ballast all the way through the race, Thomas Preining. It's obviously hurt him here a lot more than anywhere else, but he did look really slow on the first lap or 2 of the race, didn't he? But perhaps the ballast on the car, with the undulations that you get here at Zandvoort, has had a bigger effect than normal. He certainly, though, didn't have a good start to the race, did he? When he went from 14th to last on lap 1, and then struggled really to hold on to anybody for the first 5 or 6 minutes of the race.
Yes, you think that the ballast has got to be the reason why he's really struggled, hasn't he? Jack Aitken leading the way with 45 seconds, plus 1 lap remaining of this race. Well, the Lausitz Ring will feel like a dim and distant memory, hopefully. He's had 3 races on in the row. The 2nd at Oschersleben, where he was a non-finisher, 16th at Lausitz Ring, then a 14th. So this will be wonderful, because it gets his championship right back on track again. It's a nervous few moments, though, in the last few seconds of this race. The team looking on, many can't even look at the screen. Very scary moments in these closing moments.
Well, the clock will run out on this lap. Jack Aitken is about to go into turn 7, so 1 more lap at the end of this. A lap and a half to go, about 6 or 7 kilometres left between Jack Aitken and his 3rd race victory in the DTM, and his 2nd of the season. Will be the first double winner of 2024. If he can bring it home, be a 3rd win for Emil Frey Racing as well. Jack Aitken, a winner here in the past, albeit in a different Italian car in the ADAC GT Masters Championship. Loves the circuit. He has been flying all weekend long. He's got his teammate up there with him tomorrow as well. 3rd on the grid for Thierry Vermeulen. It looks like Thierry isn't quite going to score a point as it stands, though. He's just outside the top 15 in 16th place. Been another great effort from Maro Engel, 11th place from 18th on the grid. There's no mean feat around Zandvoort, where it's not that easy to overtake. You're right on board with him now, but the Ferrari of Jack Aitken is about to go on to the start of his final lap of the race.
Amazingly, the quickest lap of the race has been by Ben Durr. The driver is currently in 17th place, and it shows how quick he is and how quick that McLaren is. But sadly, not in a points-paying position. Jack Aitken now 2.389 ahead of René Rast. Just needs to keep it all together, hope for no punctures. One more lap to go in this race. René Rast in that second place. Arjun Maini looking good for a podium.
Got a few final lap dramas this year, haven't we? And there'll be a few drivers out there hoping that doesn't repeat itself here at Zandvoort. You're right on board with Ayhan Guo. Spoke too soon. As Ayhan Guo, who, remember, last time at Lausitzring had a puncture on the very last lap of the race, limped over the line with 3 tyres. He's going to drop out of the points, which means Thierry Vermeulen is going to move up to 15th and into the championship points. Guen's race ends. Jack Aitken has got less than half a lap to go now, though. He is steering and guiding the Ferrari through turn 10 and about to make his way down the back straight. So frustrations and disappointment and bad luck continue for Ayhan Guo. But here is Jack Aitken making his way into turn 11. Clipping the curve, he'll just be steering it home now. He's got a couple of seconds advantage over René Rast, who's had a terrific drive through from 7th to 2nd. And Arjun Maini is going to pick up his second podium in the DTM. But here, out of the last turn in a moment, comes Jack Aitken for win number 2 of the season, win number 3 of his career in the DTM for Jack Aitken.
Victory. Very well done, very well deserved. Thank you. Oh yes, Jack. Oh yes. Good job. Thank you.
Very nicely done indeed. Jack Aitken wins, René Rast second, Arjun Maini third.
Save fuel, the RP3 and the championship now.
Yeah.
And the first repeat winner of the year as well.
Not bad. Lap record, race win, 10th to 3rd in the championship. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Well done, Jack Aitken. A brilliant day's work. You got off to Le Mans there to go practice, but you've got to celebrate on the podium first of all, and then they'll be off in a plane in about an hour's time and go and do all that and come back again tomorrow afternoon. Likewise, René Rast, second place. His first podium of the season, René Rast. Great drive from him. Really did push on. Great work from the Schubert team in the pit stops as well. René Rast with a 6.3 second stationary time. Which, alongside actually Christian Engelhardt, was the best pit stop of the race. So excellent stuff from Schubert. There, 3 drivers all in the top 10. Marco Wittmann with a great drive as well, through from 17th to 7th place. Do you know he was only 0.7 seconds behind Sheldon van der Linde as they crossed the line as well? Jack Aitken wins, our first double winner of 2024. René Rast in second place, and Arjun Maini back on the podium. Brilliant stuff from the Indian driver, Clement Schmidt and Durr Motorsport. They should be very proud of that. 4th place, I know they wanted a podium, but that is an excellent effort for them. Fellow Austrian Lucas Auer in 5th, and then Sheldon van der Linde, Marco Wittmann, Ricardo Feller, Mirko Bortolotti and Lukas Stoltz round out the top 10. Maro Engel continues to charge through the field in his races to 11th. Nicky Tim finished 12th after his moment late on. Kelvin van der Linde, where he started, back up into 13th place after Ayhan Guo retired on the last lap of the race. And Thomas Preining, 14th, picks up a couple of championship points. Thierry Vermeulen picks up his first DTM point here at his home circuit at Zandvoort. He's been in the points before, of course, but not here at this track. He'll be hoping for rather more than 1 championship point tomorrow, though, when he starts 3rd on the grid. We see the super slow-mos, 3rd place for Arjun Maini, 2nd place for René Rast. And Jack Aitken in the Emile Frey Racing Ferrari, the Swiss team, the Italian car, the British driver with a Scottish dad, a mom from South Korea. It is a wonderful day for the team and for Jack Aitken. And he can relax now on the plane on the flight to Le Mans.
And maybe have a couple of drinks tonight, because he's not racing till tomorrow morning, eh?
A cup of tea.
A cup of tea, that'll be it. Yeah, nice coffee. Yes, so he'll be back tomorrow afternoon. A uncharacteristic break between races 1 and 2 now, and it'll be a whole lot will have happened by the time they get back here for tomorrow afternoon.
Car was awesome, as usual. And yeah, pit stop, even though I fucked it up on the way in, you guys managed it awesome. So really, thank you everybody. 2 wins, 2 poles already. Now we're rocking.
Well, Jack Aitken can put a couple of euros in the swear box, because he definitely knows better.
So what did he do wrong then? So maybe he just missed his mark or something in the pit stop. He said, anyway, well done. We got through it, and you can see BWT raising more and more money with the ADAC, the Best Water Technology, with their project to raise money for better water and wells in Africa. And René Rast looking happier than he normally would with a second place finish. It was because of where he came from 7th on the grid. First podium of the year then for René Rast, and a well-deserved one. And of course, a bonus point each for Kelvin van der Linde, and ironically, Thomas Preining, because Thomas's teammate, Aijin Nguyen, was the reason that they both picked up another point. So Kelvin van der Linde will have a 5-point lead rather than a 4-point lead now over Ricardo Feller. Great to see the celebrations at HRT, and for Arjun Maini as well, with his second career podium, his first since the very final race weekend of 2021. And that has been coming. He's been up there. He's been qualified in the top 3 before. And he's going to be up there in the grid tomorrow as well. So Arjun Maini having a phenomenal season. The driver who, back in GP3 days, raced against this man when they were on their route up the single-seater ladder. And Arjun finished just outside the top 10. Well, I think he was 9th in the championship. Jack Aitken was battling for the championship title in GP3. But Jack, who's also doing rather well in the IMSA Sports Car Championship this year, 3 podiums and top 6 finishes in all the races. A busy season for him, but there you go. There's the confirmation of the points. 66 for Kelvin van der Linde, 5-point lead over Ricardo Feller. The 2 AB Sportsline drivers, first and second. AB lead the team standings, and Audi lead the manufacturer standings as well. Jack Aitken up to 3rd place and only 7 points adrift. Thomas Preining and Maro Engel both on 57 points, 4th and 5th. Thomas has got the race win over Maro, which is why he's ahead of him. And Mirko Bortolotti not that far back either, in 6th place. Excellent effort once again from Arjun Maini then. He'll be very, very happy about that. We can get some reaction now down with Verena Vries.
And I've got René Rast here, your first podium in this season. Congratulations. Coming from P7 all the way to P2, so you fought really hard.
I didn't really expect that, to be honest. After yesterday's qualify P20 last, and today finish on the podium is a miracle for me. But yeah, very happy, obviously. It was a good race. I had three clean passes to the front, and then we had a good pit stop where we passed Clemens. So overall, very good race.
Absolutely amazing race. And now after the race, I think you're a bit in a hurry because you have plans for after the race. What are you doing?
We're flying to Le Mans just now in like half an hour, doing the FP1 there tomorrow morning, and then flying back after FP1 in Le Mans to here and do the second race.
Make sure to be here on time because we don't want to miss you.
I try. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, René. Back to you.
Thanks very much. Yeah, a 51st career podium in the DTM for René Rast. Quite a phenomenal record in what's only his 111th race. So basically, half the time he races, he gets on the podium. He's had 26 race wins as well, 26 pole positions, and a phenomenal effort for him. So still do not count him out of the championship. Remember, he was flying towards the end of the 2023 season. He hasn't had the best start to this year, but he still picked up more points because he's done more races this year than he had at this stage in 2023. So René Rast with his 51st career podium, and he'll be up on the top step. Super slow-mo, Jack Aitken, the glee in his eyes, absolutely delighted. And Arjun Maini, a proud moment for him. The Indian driver makes his way up onto the podium for the 2nd time in his DTM career, and there might be many more to come the way he's going this season. Big cheer for René Rast as he comes up to the top of the steps with a spring in his step. René Rast in 2nd place. He's absolutely delighted with that. The guy's had loads and loads of race wins, 26 of them, but he's celebrating that like he's won. And in fact, he cheekily hopped onto the top step of the podium for a moment and then gave a little wink and a smile to everybody. But the top step is reserved today for this man, for Jack Aitken, your winner of round 5 of DTM 2024. And of course, the winning team will also be represented up on the podium, and they today are Emil Frey Racing. Fantastic stuff then here at Zandvoort. We'll now get the race winners' national anthem. The British national anthem plays here at Zandvoort. Your race winner, Jack Aitken. Now time for the trophies to be awarded. Great podium here at Zandvoort as well, raised for the crowd to see. And look at that for a trophy. Martin Tomczyk's dad presents the trophy, a rear wing replica.
I want that. That would look great on my car. Great on his head as well. Do you think Jack Aitken likes this circuit? I think he does.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think they all do. I haven't spoken to anybody this weekend that doesn't love it. Letty Tao presents the second place trophy to a very pleased René Rast. What can he do at Le Mans next week? What can Jack Aitken do next week? Yeah, he's loving it, isn't he?
What's that?
René Rast still full of verve and enthusiasm. Peter Baumann from Liqui Moly is going to present this third place trophy to Arjun Maini. Terrific effort from Arjun as well. Throw his name into that as a championship contender this year as well. He's been up there in every single race so far this season. He's going to be up there on the grid tomorrow again as well. And Guido Cachera presents the trophy to the winning team, to Emil Frey Racing. Proud moment for them as well. Lest we forget, as we see Torsten Schubert of Schubert Motorsport, they've just picked up their 15th podium as a team in the DTM. A reminder, Brian, that this isn't just about drivers, it's a proper team sport. We see that more than anything in the pit stops, don't we?
Yes, absolutely. And certainly our thoughts go with the Grasser team after what was an incident in the Luca Engsler pit stop. But yeah, it's a team sport and they win together, they lose together. Those are the most amazing trophies I've ever seen.
They're very cool. Right, oh dear. They're going to be sticky and smelling of sweet champagne all the way on the flight to Le Mans later on. Jack Aitken and René Rast. Arjun Maini hasn't got to worry about that. He can put his feet up till tomorrow afternoon. A reminder, no qualifying tomorrow. We've had it already on Friday. And the race tomorrow, 4:30 p.m. local time rather than 1:30 p.m. to give those a chance, a fighting chance, that are practicing at Le Mans to get back here in time for the race. So they all celebrate. The champagne bottle has been dropped down. There's still some in it, and nobody escapes.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'm really pleased I'm not on that plane now to Le Mans. I was feeling jealous briefly, but that's going to be as smelly and as sticky as anything, because they've got time.
No time for a shower.
No, none of that. The rest of the team will be celebrating here at Zandvoort. That the party will go on into the night, because they don't have to be out of bed till 4:30 tomorrow.
Very true, yes, that's right. They can relax a bit tonight. Excellent job then. Let's get some reaction down with Verena.
And I've got the winner here, Jack Aitken. Congratulations, what a perfect race, all the way from pole to victory. It's also your second podium, so now I want to see a big win. Come on, I mean, you've got to be absolutely happy.
Yeah, I'm really happy. I mean, we're really back in the game in the championship now, I think up to P3, so that's actually making me really excited for the rest of the season already. The car was perfect, team did a great job, so yeah, really, really pleased.
So hopefully for tomorrow you can repeat at least a podium.
Yes, I hope so. We're starting P4, also with Thierry P3s, so for the team it's a good opportunity. Let's see what happens. Yeah, I just hope we keep everything nice and neat, and we'll see.
All right, thank you very much, Jack. Back to you.
Thanks very much. Great to hear from Jack Aitken. Brian, it shows what topsy-turvy season this is. Results so far for Jack Aitken. He's had a retirement, 16th out of the points, 14th, only 2 points, but marked either side by 2 race wins. But nobody is stringing together consistent podiums and race wins this year, which is why he's up to 3rd in the championship.
Yeah, and it's only going to continue tomorrow because it's another topsy-turvy grid. We said about an hour ago this could turn the championship on its head, didn't we? Of course, tomorrow Jack is going to have 20 kilos extra on board. That's going to affect things a little bit, but he must fancy his chances of another podium.
More twists and turns than a roller coaster, this championship, hasn't it? It's been up and down and up and down and around about, and it's going to be like this all the way through the season. So some super slow-mos then of Jack Aitken aboard his Ferrari Steed here. And it's done him proud this weekend, hasn't it, so far? And again, a good chance for points tomorrow. Although we saw today, might have been potentially another issue, but Thomas Priding certainly was struggling with the 20 kilograms of success ballast on his car. Jack Aitken will carry 20 kilograms of success ballast from 4th on the grid tomorrow. René Rast, for finishing 2nd place in that race, will have 10 kilograms on board his car, and René has got to start plumb last on the grid, 20th on the grid for the race tomorrow. So enjoy today, because tomorrow's going to be hard work, René. And Arjun Maini will have 5 kilograms on his car, but will start from 5th in the race on the grid. We look forward to that tomorrow. From Brian and me, Chris Hartley, it's goodbye from the commentary box and back to Verena in the pit lane.
And I've got Arjun Maini here. You came from P3, you ended on P3. It's your first podium. I can see you smile, so you've got to be very excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a long time since Nürburgring in 21, since I had my podium. So, yeah, it felt like a long time coming. I was struggling the last few years, but yeah, all thanks to Mercedes AMG Team HRT for believing me and yeah, putting me back on the grid. And yeah, I'm trying to do the best I can, and I'm just happy to be on the podium.
And also tomorrow you're starting in P5, so that means it's close to the podium, so hopefully you can get another podium.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit trickier with the success ballast, but let's see. I think the pace has been good. We struggled a bit to keep up with René and Jack at the end. At the beginning of the stint was okay, so let's see what we can do, if we can do something to improve, but I'm looking forward to it.
And I'm sorry for keeping you. I know you're cold, all wet and cold. Zandvoort is an old school racetrack, so how much fun was the race?
Insane. I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's scary because you can't put a wheel wrong, but yeah, I'm just glad it's over now. I enjoyed the drive, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow.
So are we, Arjun. Thank you so much. And that's it from us here for today. And then tomorrow we'll see you for the race 2 in Zandvoort. Till then, bye-bye, and here are the highlights.